Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking with Chris from MeMedia. Chris, welcome, mate.
G'day, mate. How are you?
I'm good. So we were chatting beforehand about whether or not we're going to have a video on today, and your response to me was you didn't get dressed up for just audio.
Mate, I humbly have been blessed with not a head for radio. So, I'm and I dress accordingly. Yeah, that's right.
And for those that are listening and not watching, I'm wearing a hoodie today, and Chris has got his nice jacket on. So
I know, mate. I think you need to up your standards.
I think I might do. Next time we do another interview, I'll be in the suit. So
10% better, mate. You should have the pocket kerchief as well.
Yeah, definitely. Tell us a bit about your story. So you obviously didn't just land here, set up your business last night. You've been running for a little while. Tell us where your journey began.
Mate, look, it's a long one, but yeah, first graduates of I'll start that again. I was one of 40 graduates out of the first ever multimedia degree in Australia from Griffith University on the Gold Coast. That was in 1998 was my last year, graduation year 99. 98, I went out into the workforce thinking I was going to, basically be the be-all and end-all multimedia guru for many a company. And on the Gold Coast, I would walk into boardrooms and people would say, "What are you going to do for us?" I'm saying, "I'm going to build you a website." And they go, "What's that?" So that's gives you a bit of a picture of, I guess, the landscape that I was operating in. You know what? It was like, okay, well, what can I sell? And that's been my journey, a lifetime of adaptation to the market's needs.
It's interesting. We were having a conversation the other week, and you were talking about one thing I picked up was that you're always 1 or 2 steps ahead of what's happening. So, and the very first time was the multimedia degree, but other parts of your business journey, you seem to be 1 or 2 steps ahead as well.
Well, I think that's changed in recent years, because it's becoming increasingly difficult to be ahead of, a machine that operates 24/7, right? AI has flipped the table on, I guess, what's coming. But it is important to take time to reflect, consult with your peers and to contemplate how your future is going to look. Like I said, it's been a lifetime of adaptation, mate. And like I can tell you that story. It's been fun. It's been a wild ride.
We have to adapt. We can't expect ourselves to stay as the same person, the same business owner for our entire journey. Like every 7 years, there needs to be some form of almost reinvention.
Well, mate, it's been, they say you either win or you learn, right? I've had many years where I've won and many years where I've lost, and at times of, extreme depression even, so, I've been through the dot-com boom bust, I've been through the GFC, and I've been through COVID. And each and every time there was a hell of a lot of analysis of what the market's needs were, how we were going to best show up for our clients, and what services they needed most at that time, and what we could actually, I guess, charge for. What was the market going to accept in terms of what were they actually going to outlay money for? And in our case, what were they going to outlay the most money for? What did they deem to be the highest value? And that is constantly what we're doing here. And so that adaptation to the market's needs, like when SEO became a catchphrase, I think it was about 2003 was really going hard. But, realistically, it started in 1997, 98 in the US. It took a little while to sort of transition here. And that gap's closed significantly over the years. What happens in the US happens in Australia. It used to be 5 years, and then it's come down to about 6 months now, if not less. But SEO, then it was, okay, Google advertising, and then it was, social media marketing and all of these types of things. And what was happening was clients were coming to us, and we'd kick them off on an e-commerce website in the early days. So I was a programmer, I was a graphic designer, I was a jack of all trades, right? One man marketing machine in the very beginning. From 1998 to 2006 was me being a one-man marketing machine, both contracting and employment. I maintained a client base over that entire time, outside of hours if I was in employment, and so on and so forth. And eventually built up a client base that basically, 2006, had to make the decision to leave my full-time job because my clients were basically going, mate, we need you. We need more of you. So I went full tilt into...
That would have been exciting. That would have been exciting, but also scary at that time.
Mate, I can still remember the day. I actually was just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I've got clients that want me. I've got a great full-time job, albeit it had some, cultural challenges. And I had a massage, and I walked out of that massage across the road onto Burleigh Heads Beach, and looking out across the ocean, I was like, that's it. I'm doing this. My God, man, that feeling of being the master of my own destiny was absolutely amazing and empowering at the same time.
Yeah.
And exhilarating and scary and all of those feels, right?
Yeah. How many times since 2006, that's 20 years now, have you been like, why did I do this? So then what should I have stayed in the day job kind of thing?
I always found day jobs were somewhat lacking in my ability or capacity to be creative. So one of the day jobs was I was a systems test engineer writing documents, Word documents, right, in a massive engineering company. And look, I loved having a lot of people around me. I loved trying new things and flexing new skills that I hadn't learned and all this sort of stuff. I used to travel to Hong Kong for 6 weeks at a time when that company was recommissioning the mass transit railways in Hong Kong. I wasn't actually in a creative zone at all. And it wasn't soul destroying because it was actually I was on this adventure, right? I was learning new stuff, but I got to the point where I was like, look, I know I can learn a hell of a lot more here and probably become an engineer if I want to. But I was staring at these black text on a white page document, tapping away. And I was like, this is boring. This ain't creative enough for me.
Yeah.
So my why, what is my why? Look, I've just been a really helpful guy. I just want what's best for people. I get frustrated. I'm an anti-bully, right? Anti-bully. From a very young age, I used to take on the bullies. I'd get beat up, but that didn't stop me, mate. Next week, I'd be taking on another one, right? And so when people would say to me, Chris, we've just tried this new thing. We dealt with this company. It didn't work out for us. They robbed us blind. They did wrong by us or whatever. And I'm like, I just feel for these people. And I know I have the capability to do what's right for them. And God, I can almost think up the solution on the spot, right? Because I'm a technician. I come from a technical background and creative. So I was able to have both sides of the brain working.
And that's a rare, not a lot of people can do both. And that's why there's often as a business owner, there's a lot of overwhelm because you're either very good at the technical side or the other side.
Well, it's somewhat been to my detriment because I can actually be the technician, right? Technician become entrepreneur, right? If you've ever read the E-Myth,
yep,
it's not really the ideal way to start a business. You just buy yourself a job. You create a job for yourself, and albeit I scaled early, like we were out of the blocks, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2000. I can't remember exactly, it's been a long time, but I think it was around the 2008, 2009. 2008 was the GFC, but it delayed impact here. So we went from 10 employees back down to 3, and, but we had scaled, all those initial years. And I think had that GFC not hit that year, I think there would have been a big change for us. Like we would be in a totally different position now. But it really scared the pants off me. We went into debt, all this sort of stuff. I tried to keep my team. They left me anyway for chasing other things. At that time, some of them left by choice. Some of them I had to, let go of. And I put myself into debt. And you know what? It really shocked me for a long time. And we've never scaled to the same level here in Australia. The costs rose, all this sort of stuff. But far out. I can't believe I'm a really slow learner. That's the other thing, or slow to implement, slow thinker, right? They say think slow, act fast. I've been thinking a little bit too slow, probably, about my own business. Well, focus on all our clients. Like clients always come first. That's been one of my mantras, always put the client first, solve their problems first, make them successful, and we will get dragged along for the ride. But, we just haven't told the stories enough, all this sort of stuff, right? We just get too busy.
Yep. Yep. We always.
And technician. So coming back to technician, when we got small, I got thrown back onto the tools. It's really hard to grow when you're in debt and you're the technician on the tools, because who's doing sales, right? Who's doing marketing? Yeah. So
Yep. It's painful because you don't know that it's a bit hard to pull the lever. You're like, do I go into a tiny bit more debt so I can focus on sales, or do I ride this out? So you end up being in a bit of an infinite loop for a period of time.
Mate, infinite loop. God, that is the most suckiest term I ever have heard, and a bit of a reflection on a lot of my time in this saddle. Albeit I have tried many, many things to change it, right? Unfortunately, I have failed many more times than I would like to mention, right? Developing new sideline businesses, going into partnership with clients, splitting my attention. And I have to say this, and I say this on a lot of podcasts, because it was the best lesson that I was ever taught by my mentor and co-founder of one of the ventures that I went out on, Beach City, which was live video production when Facebook Live launched, right? That's Lee Kelson. And he said to me, if you want to ride 2 horses, you need 2 asses. And he doesn't know anyone 2 asses. So effectively, if you're not going to focus full tilt on one thing, then you're going to be half-assed on 2 horses, right?
Yep. I've never heard that saying, but it totally makes sense. I now know where half-assed come from.
Well, that half-assed part was probably only just came to light recently when I said it to somebody. I was like, those two things come together. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody in this seat wants to do anything half-assed. In fact, one of our values is excellence, right? You can't do excellence half-assed. So MeMedia, our marketing agency that has been around since day dot. It was the business name was registered in 2001, after, being a sole trader from 98. And then it became a company in 2006. Look, now we've started to brand one of our products and go full tilt into marketing that brand. And that's because it got lost in the weeds, right? People would come to us and want the shiny thing, like content marketing. For us, we went full tilt into that in 2015 after noticing and watching Gary Vaynerchuk like crank it up in 2014 and talk about that term quite a bit. And be honest, like we didn't really see how people were implementing content marketing as a methodology and understand how to do that, like, or take someone else's, methodology and implement it. So we basically created our own, and we went full tilt in that 2015. That was a wild ride and a fun ride. We had so much fun with that. We created a podcast called Get Fact Up. We released every Monday morning. Mate, that was a complete joke. You should check out MeMedia's YouTube and go back through the history. Like, there's some really funny stuff in there. And we flexed our muscles in terms of, special effects. The guy, Steve, who's still on my team today, his talent was really allowed to shine in the special effects field. He was doing some really cool stuff, which now AI you probably just look at it and go, oh, that was AI. AI didn't exist then, of course. So where are we at? So, we've gone through all of these things, 2015 content marketing, and now that was the shiny thing. And so e-commerce sort of took a back seat. People stopped coming to us for e-commerce, or it was by happenstance, serendipity that we would get a new e-commerce store or existing relationship. And so now we've branded our e-commerce services, specifically Shopify services, under the banner WeCom, WeComm.au, right? So go and check that out. And that's where we're putting all our marketing attention, because we have proven that product, that service can and should exist on its own with its own brand, and it is systemized under the methodology I came up with in my book for content marketing, as well as our 20 plus years experience working with e-commerce companies and building them.
And as the Americans say, there's riches in the niches. So you go deep and you become the subject matter expert.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we have been a subject matter expert on e-commerce since, for as long as I can remember. 2006 was when we really started to flex our muscles, but I was working in e-commerce. My first job was actually on an e-commerce store in 98, right? I built my own e-commerce shopping carts, programmed them, and before they were able to be purchased off the shelf, right? We've transitioned through, custom built e-commerce stores and tried the Shopify's, tried the Nidos back in the day. I don't even know what Nido's called now.
It's still Nido,
oh
but
God.
got two names. I can't remember the other one.
Is it Maro Post or something? Or
yes, Narrow Post purchased Nido or vice versa. Yeah. And then there was Big Commerce as well.
Yeah, we never went to Big Commerce. We've helped clients in OpenCart and gone, this is a bucket of bolts, flick that. Even Shopify, we actually flicked that back in the day. It wasn't that crash hot, didn't give us much customization. And where we used to being able to do so much customization, clients would come to us with problems and we'd solve them. I've got an absolute gun developer that's been with me for, I think it's 16 years now. And he took the development off me, all those years ago, which that was a big weight off my shoulders. So customization has been big. God, I can't even think of the other Magento. Oh my God, what a headache that system was. It sucked. Absolutely sucked.
It was a market leader for a short period of time, but
it's because, look, that's what everyone was starting to use. But man, we used to burn cash on those builds.
Yeah,
so much.
I remember. I'm pretty sure my first business, the first e-commerce cart, we built it on Magento, and yeah, so much time in there. Just
the biggest issue was that with that system was that every time you wanted to make an update, you had to update at least 4 files just to fix, get something pixel perfect.
Yeah.
And it was a minefield as to which 4 files it was. And so what we would normally cost on thinking, it's 1 file or a graphic and a file, 4 times the cost, right?
Yeah.
So
it doesn't work. What's it been like? So for you personally, there's been the highs, the lows. You've scaled up, you've gone back down. How's that journey been for you behind the scenes?
Look, that feeling of I've made it, has come and gone. The I've made it feeling didn't last real long for me. There's been probably a few times that's occurred. And so, I mean, that feels great, like you go to networking gigs and you walk in feeling $1 million. On the flip side, the lowest of lows for me was absolutely terrifying. It was disgusting, mate. The black dog depression. I didn't go and see anybody about it. Probably would have got over it a lot sooner if I had. Instead, I went inward. I read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts, did a lot of self-talk, didn't talk to anyone about it. And look, that's how this book came about. So I'd lost my purpose and I needed to find my purpose. And so one morning I was lying in bed and I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go anywhere. And the business was failing. I'd come back from that mentoring from Lee Kelson, the two horses won, and I'd come back to my business, MeMedia, after, chasing success somewhere else in Beach City. And I had a crumbling business. And so that was gut wrenching to me. And our methodology in the business, I thought was great. The business failing felt like I was failing, of course. They were one and the same thing. And so it happened to be that it was Gold Coast Business Week that week. And this is how I recall it. I don't know if I've cut it short in my mind, but my father he died in 2010. So I didn't really have someone to talk to. Like I didn't have, someone I could really confide in, and I loved him dearly. And so he used to say, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And of course that was a common saying at the time, but he used to say it to me often. And if I ever was in need of finding work when I was younger, he used to say, look, if you want to find work, you've got to pound the pavement. Just get out there and knock on doors, right? Put your resume out, knock on doors, just keep going. And don't stop until you get what you want, basically. And so those two sayings got me out of bed, albeit reluctantly, right? It was Gold Coast Business Week. I'm like, how am I going to boost our brand? How am I going to boost my own, I guess, sense of pride? Because I certainly wasn't proud at that time. And I just did what we've been doing at Beach City, and that was pretty much guerrilla marketing. And you see it everywhere now, right? But I knew how to go live. I knew how to, do this thing called, social media. And so content marketing. So I got a tripod with 2 iPhones on it, mics, and I had a relationship with somebody at the council, Gold Coast City Council, and there was the second year running, and I'd actually said to them, hey, it's Gold Coast Business Week. Have you got any budget to send us out to any of these businesses to interview them that are running all these education events? And they said, no, sorry, I forgot about you. Meant to, organize this. And I said, look, I'm going to do it anyway. And so I went out to these businesses at their events and I interviewed the event facilitator. And slowly but surely, every time I'd interview someone, I get a little spark, They were so appreciative. It went live. We released it across multiple channels. And, we did away with editing. It was just raw, right? Anyway, lo and behold, the week carries on. It's about 5 days. On the Friday, there was an event at the casino, the Star here on the Gold Coast. And mate, spark. By the end of that week, mate, I was feeling awesome.
It's just getting a little tiny bit of momentum, one step at a time. So,
I walked into that event. I would always wear the logo on the front, so it was really clear who I was. Like, there was no questioning where I was from. I walked into that event and there was a guy standing on stage, and I had a new employee with me at the time, and he was just about to start. I walked in last minute. It was probably 2 minutes from kicking off. I went, okay, mate, let's do this. Watch this. Because I wanted him to show that we actually have a presence here. We have a great network of people that we know. And it's not our network is our net worth. So I wanted to show him that. I said, come with me, watch this. So he was standing on stage, the speaker was standing on stage, and I went right across the front of the stage where everybody was already sitting down waiting to watch him come on. And mate, I knew 99% of the people in the room. Either I'd met them that week or they were part of my network for many years. And it was just like, boom, how are you? Boom, how are you going, mate? Yeah, awesome. Boom, 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 boom. And that lit me up so much. It was just like, wow, like you are not alone in business, bro. It is. And my new employee just got this shit moment.
Mm.
Like, we are something. We are something. And so I have always said it takes small sparks to create a big fire, right? You can't expect that big fire, that big, I guess, successful moment or that big feeling of achievement if you haven't actually put in the work and constantly, sparked that fire.
Yeah. And yeah, like the way it happened for you, like one step at a time, you're doing one thing and that just built a bit of momentum, built a bit of confidence, and that opened you up to a bigger task. So if we're talking comfort zone, you're just progressively building it, making your comfort zone larger until you're confident enough. And then others were seeing your confidence and the way you're interacting with others. And it just built on from that.
The funniest part was people were upset with the fact that I didn't go and interview them. They were like, you didn't come and see me. And they were scolding me. I was
wow.
told you were going to come and interview me. Sorry. Like I was a one-man guerrilla,
Yeah, wow.
content marketing machine that week. Everybody else in my team had to be back in the office doing their job and I wasn't getting paid. So, sorry about that. So the expectation was there from the community, which was funny, even funnier to me.
That's awesome. Like they build that brand reputation and that audience straight away. So what did that do for the business? And straight after that, I imagine the phone started ringing and lots of conversations started as soon as you put all of that energy.
I mean, that'd be a perfect story, but it didn't. No, look, when I got back to the office on the Monday, I was still on a bit of a high and, I think probably we got back into doing business and all the rest of it. But, I just spent practically a week out of the office in a business that was struggling and I needed to get back onto the tools and
Yeah.
talk with the team and make sure that, I was attending to meetings and all of that sort of stuff. And, the reality set back in again,
Yeah.
right? We're in a tight spot. So like what next, So then there was work to be done. Look, the brand was strong in the marketplace, but realistically behind the scenes, we were hurting.
Mm.
I was hurting still. And that black dog was
Still nipping at
hot
your
on my
heels.
heels. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a funny relationship with this book because there's an element of the black dog in it. And this has also been one of those highs and lows because when I launched it, I was high. I was on top of the world, but then I've distanced myself from it because of my own story of depression that exists in this. And when I published this book, it was so cathartic writing this book, honestly. That was my therapy right there. And when I got it out, I was like released.
Mm.
But I almost didn't want to talk about it or see it ever again. And so, like, I think I've been the master of my own success and failure.
Yeah. We go on a journey and we want to be continually going up, but often we get to the top of a hill and then we realize the only way is down, kind of thing. Like it's hard. So we just don't want to have to go too far back down, kind of thing.
That's right. That's right. Have had times where I've gone all the way back down again, right?
Mm.
And, I'm 46 now, today, and
As in your birthday's today, the day we're recording, or
no, it's about to change, but I'm happy to say I'm still 46. But so I have developed this level of wisdom and understanding of my life and how I work, and these failures that I've spoken about and how I've let them reoccur many, many times. That infinite loop. God, what a disgusting term that is. And how if I see signs of that now, how to like nip that in the bud.
Yeah. Realize that you're going down a path that you don't want to be going down.
I'm doing myself a disservice.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years for me have been a bit of going inward again, working in the business, really focusing on our clients and their solutions, rebranding this service. MeMedia still exists, like to every single client out there that we continue to service, nothing's changed, right? However, we've managed to systemize and prove to ourselves that WeCom on its own can be a thing. And that's exciting for us because now we're like, okay, let's give WeCom a red hot go. We haven't really focused much in the last 2 years on our own marketing and advertising for MeMedia. And so now we'll focus heavily on WeCom, and MeMedia's clients will still get serviced very, very well. And WeCom, let's see, right? And that focus, right? That 100% focus on marketing that brand, mate, it excites the hell out of me.
Yeah. See how far you can take it.
It's got so much legs, mate. Our years of experience behind us in e-commerce, our years of experience in Shopify growth and proven case studies. You know, we picked up a new client this year. We doubled down with our WeCom solution for them and tested our new systems around that. And lo and behold, in 4 months, we doubled their conversion rate.
Yeah. You've got the skill set. You've got the ability. It's letting people know about it.
We don't have to do that too many times before I think the phone is ringing red hot, right? Doubling conversions should be the number one goal for any company that wants to go from good to great. That's the first area they should focus on. Almost anybody can create an e-commerce store now, right? And Shopify is absolutely the best platform to do that on. What a fantastic system. In fact, I would go so far as to say, if you're building a website, even if it's a company website, screw WordPress. Honestly, kick it to the curb. What a piece of crap that system is, right? It is troublesome. It is prone to hacking. You would spend just as much on hosting that platform, if not more, than you would spend on a Shopify subscription. And you can do more on Shopify and spend less, right? And you're safe, you're secure. Hosting taken care of, security taken care of. You don't have to have a shopping cart.
Yeah.
But if the time comes that you want to transact something, sitting right there for you.
That's an interesting argument. I've never heard anyone say that.
WordPress is made a bucket of bolts.
There's lots of people making money out of it. There's probably a reason why. Because it needs so much development.
Well, it doesn't just need development up the wazoo. It needs plugins up the wazoo and lockdown of security and tight hosting. And mate, so if you think about it, you want really secure system. You don't want too much custom work, albeit if you still want custom work, fine. You want to future-proof yourself. You want to create a platform that you can leverage from, right? No business is leveraging from an unstable platform, mate. So get your platform right. Build that foundation right. Open yourself up to amazing opportunities without redevelopment and the costs and the migration crap and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. I mean, we're legendary at migration. I'll give you that right now. No, mate, that is no word of a lie. And I have to toot my horn on this. Companies come to us and go, everybody said, don't change platforms, like you're going to screw your SEO. Oh, it's going to go, get out.
Do it properly.
We've done it so many times. It's a hell of a lot of care, right? It's a hell of a lot of care. There's a cost associated with it. And because of that cost, I would encourage people not to start on WordPress. Start on bloody Shopify. Don't even entertain Squarespace.
Oh, we're on the same page with that.
Wix, mate. Just like, and look, we are Shopify partners, I know, and I'm speaking from experience. I've developed every type of website there is, I think, right? Learning management systems, e-commerce stores, service-based business websites, event businesses, bloody, you name it, right? All of them on different platforms or our custom solutions or whatnot, different open source solutions. We've had some great open source solutions that, never got hacked, which weren't WordPress, by the way. I bet so many people wanted us to go back to WordPress to stick with Shopify.
Interesting argument. So I'm on WordPress, so I'm going to have to do some research.
Mate, just back your website up. Just keep it backed up. And the day you get hacked is the day you go, right.
Should have listened to
Chris.
I
put my backup live again, and I start the journey to web.
Yeah. Fortunately, I do back up weekly. So, Chris, as a business owner, one piece of advice that you would give to another business owner? What's one thing?
Culture is strategy. Culture is strategy. Seth Godin said it well before me. That was the first time I heard it. Someone probably said it before him. It's something that I learned in my writing of the book, and that is that Values inspire purpose. Purpose inspires action. Action inspires culture, and culture is strategy.
Yep.
So many people talk about values, right? It is everywhere now. Everywhere I look, I swear I see the word purpose everywhere I look. I don't know if I'm a magnet for it, or I'm looking for it, but I do see it everywhere. Without the action piece, you don't really know what your company can become. You don't really know if your purpose and values are the right fit for your organization. And so you're probably going to change and mold yourself to what the market wants, what your team wants, what you need as a leader, what the business wants. And then you're going to find out through that growth, and often through company growth, that culture is of the utmost importance.
You've got to enjoy what you're doing, and you've got to get along, and you've got to be aligned.
100%. And the bigger your company becomes, the harder that becomes. And so, like, our content marketing methodology is based on the culture is strategy piece, because when we focus on our team, we capture those moments and individuals in the organization that are living out our best values in our company's purpose. You effectively create many leaders in your organization, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't come from just you. It comes from everyone. And people love to follow, right? And they see success in that other person and they say, how do I do that? And it's about showing up and being the best person you can be in line with the values of the organization and the purpose of the organization.
And making sure you're heading in the same direction.
All rowing in the same direction. Exactly. So the story goes that 2007, Grant Mayo from Nutrition Warehouse came to me and said, let's build a new supplement company. He was previously ASN. And so we sat in his lounge room and spitball the name Nutrition Warehouse. It was actually something that he came up with after we rattled heaps of names around. He phoned me on my way home as I was driving from that lounge room meeting to say, I got it. and wow, what a exhilarating and fantastic moment that was. And we built the e-commerce store, and that was in 2007 to around 2012 we were working together, right? Something like that. And mate, he was bullish, far out. He just was going for broke. Not going for broke, he was going hard, right? And to this day, probably one of the best stories I get to tell. So 2012, he internalized his team, and that's normally our trajectory. That's when we're happy to be replaced, right? We don't want to be replaced by another agency. It's a disgusting feeling, But the best time to be replaced is when the organization you've been working for actually gets big enough to be able to embed their own team.
Yeah, it's exciting for them. And it shows you've done such a good job promoting and marketing them as well.
We've done our job.
Yeah.
And so Grant Mayo built Nutrition Warehouse with a great team and got to the point where I rang him one day and said, what's going on? Like, how's everything going? And I'd launched my book at that time. He was there at the live online launch and we were online chatting while everyone was watching. It was a fantastic moment. And he said, culture. So many people in this organization. I've got a cultural problem. I said, wait, well, my book talks about that. I'd be happy to come and talk to you about it. But look, here's how it would roll. And I sent him a pitch in an email, and here's how I would execute on that. Needless to say, he didn't sign us up for that journey, but he implemented. And then I see the story unfold, and he thanked me later publicly. I wish I could find that post somewhere. He thanked me later, and he said that they had built their culture, and to this day, that's all they see is an operation that is everybody in that team is rowing in the same direction. They have leaders amongst leaders exhibiting the values. I know that story, and I need more people to know that story for our own business.
Yeah.
But what a fantastic feeling that is, and I love calling them up and going, those moments when you just ring up and go, how's it going?
That's awesome.
And maybe I can help them with something else. But that's all I need. That's all I need to see my clients be successful with us now and beyond.
That's awesome, man. we've got to wrap it up. We've gone well over time, but it's been awesome and I've really enjoyed it, man. What's the best way for people to connect?
So I'm on LinkedIn, search for Chris Hogan, MAICD. That's the post nominals for the AICD membership. And I'm on Instagram, Chris Hogs, affectionately known as Hogs to my mates. And they're probably the two for me.
Awesome.
Please follow MeMedia and or WeCom. Watch this space. We're going to launch this baby and we're going to the moon.
I can't wait to see what goes on with that. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.